Good evening and welcome right back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. With me, as always, is my good friend, compadre Jim Stamm. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. 24 hours later, let's just run it back, huh? Or 48 or whatever. But
Oh, man, what a blast that was. And very well received. Thank you all. The live chat really, man, that made it feel worthwhile for real. So that was excellent.
yeah, it was a good time to jump into the Pirates season preview, and we had a really, really good turnout for YouTube, and of course, our audio was good too. So thanks again. It was great.
Yeah. So, hey, time for a regular weekly episode here. And boy, the Pirates gave us some good news, didn't they? So today we
They
found
did.
out that Bryan Hayes has agreed with the Pirates to an 8-year extension for $70 million. We don't necessarily know the breakdown yet, but we also know there's an option for a 9th year built in there, and it's a club option. So ball is completely in the Pirates' court. Thoughts? I mean, what do you think, brother? Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, surprised just because it just kind of broke right before the season opener. Um, and but no, I mean, what's not to like about it? The years and the numbers look good. Like you said, we don't know how it's structured, but I really think that they did well here as far as the numbers go. And
Were you
you know,
surprised at all by how low they were? I actually thought it was going to take a little more to get this done.
well, we talked about this the other day too. I even said, "Boy, it's hard to gauge where this thing is going to end up at." And I could have given a range, and if I would have, this would have been on the lower end of it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Because I was thinking it would be more like 890, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, but 870, there's no way to look at that besides that's a bargain. It's just a bargain.
Hmm.
And even if the bat never comes back around, he's a 2.5 WAR player just for his glove.
Hmm.
It's really hard to get upset about that signing. Depending on how it's structured, he should be eminently movable too.
Well, and that's just it too. As we go along here, uh, it's going to be a more favorable contract. So, assuming he stays healthy, which funny we might have to touch on that
Yeah,
too. But
yeah,
no, look. The numbers are good from a team perspective. They seem more than happy with it as a camp, and it's security. And I think there's some real potential here for him to improve and this be a really good deal that allows them to go other places like Bryan Reynolds and try to get that one done.
yeah. I mean, I think the timing is not really by accident. I think they planned on probably trying to have both of them done before the season. And, Dejan reported a few weeks back in Friday Insider on DK Pittsburgh Sports that the Pirates were planning on some rather large expenditures before the season started. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling there was another one too. And I think this all kind of ties into Ben Cherington being so salty that somehow things got screwed up and they went to arbitration with Bryan Reynolds. Now, I have some questions about that because that's your best player. Why weren't you involved?
Uh,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, like, crap runs downhill. I understand that, but like, you don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. According to Dayon, like just if you read between the lines, he had a nice conversation with Bob Nutting too. He hasn't named him because it was off the record, but sounds to me like there's not a single member of the higher end of the hierarchy that was happy that this happened. So my question is basically, why didn't somebody stop that from happening then?
Yeah, I mean, look, that sounds great, but like everything we know about Ben Sherrington does that sound like a guy that's out of the loop on anything, or isn't doesn't have a hand in it? I don't know, man. Let's just say this. Maybe it was lip service that they regretted that it went this far, but maybe they do have some regret once it got out. I don't know.
Yeah. Regardless, it sounds like they've done everything they needed to do to kind of salvage the whole relationship. Doesn't sound like they're really going to fight him in arbitration. They've kind of already seemingly accepted they're going to lose. He's going to take whatever he can
Yeah.
get. Doesn't sound to me like they plan on going in and talking about his 2020 or anything.
No,
So,
and then there's one, and let me just say this: there's one way to smooth this thing over, and that's take care of him. So that would tend to make things nice and happy for everyone if they did that.
yes. And I think that's going to come at some point. I do. I also think, at least from what we know, from who we talk to and everything, I get the impression that Bryan kind of didn't want to be the first one. So this Hayes signing could be important for another reason as well. So I'm not going to just poo-poo it because they signed the wrong one, as I keep getting pounded with on Twitter, which is crazy.
Yeah. Let,
Um,
let me just add this too. You may have a point there. Just maybe neither of them wanted to be the first ones. Neither of them seem to be the type of guys that want to be the big out in the front rah rah face of the franchise, fire in their belly type guys. Inwardly, I'm sure that they possess plenty of the dedication and the intensity. But I even was reading a Q&A the other day, and it might have been today, and I can't remember if it was Sherrington or Shelton. Might have been Shelton. Someone asked about them, Brian Hayes and Reynolds stepping up.
no, it was
And
Shelton. I read it too. Yeah.
yeah, and what I took from that was, and I'm paraphrasing, is we're not going to ask them to do anything that they're not comfortable with. We just want them to play and get better as ball players. And I think that that says something there too. These two guys aren't built to be the. I'm trying to think of a guy to compare in another organization that just is all eyes on me and just out there in front of everything. They're not built that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think of like a really quiet leader like Andre Dawson back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He just went about his business. He was always one of the better players on the team, but like
Yeah,
you never heard him talk. It was just it's just the way he was. And although I do think we're starting to see Bryan come out of his shell a little bit, we're starting to see Key step up and talk a little bit more. But we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I think we're going to talk about another way that Brian Hayes needs to step up. All right, and we're back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. So we left you basically we talked about the contract a little bit and basically what it needs to lead into. I do believe they need to get both of these guys wrapped up. It's important to have some kind of a foundation, and while I'm very happy they signed Bryan Hayes, he's not enough to be the foundation on his own. They need to do right by this team, and I think make sure that Reynolds is wrapped up too. But since Bryan is the one that's wrapped up, maybe we should touch on what happened in this game after all the pomp and circumstance that the Cardinals made us sit through, listening to that repetitive organ music for 15 minutes, watching the parade of
trucks
Fords driving
trucks.
out onto the field, Watching old steroids ridden Mark McGuire standing there shaking hands like he did something that wasn't untoward in his career. And Brian Hayes goes out there in the bottom of the first inning and gets a cramp in his thumb and is out. The announcers didn't even really get to like pump the tires at all on this brand new extension yet. And he's out of the game with an injury, which is everyone's biggest concern. Afterwards, he says it's not a big deal. It was a stupid thing. He's never experienced it before. He took his hand out of his glove and it just hurt. Couldn't straighten it out until he got in the hot tub. Man, I've watched Kutch play with broken ribs, man. You want to be the leader on a team? You just signed here for 8 years. You're the only one in the locker room that is going to be here for a long time contractually. You've gotten paid. You're the rich guy, I heard him called, right?
Yep.
You might want to play through your first cramp of a thumb on your glove hand. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I'm not questioning his integrity or his heart or anything. I'm just saying, come on, Key. Like, play through something a little bit. Like, it's the first game. Now, if you can't grab your bat, that's a different thing. But you're putting your glove on, man. Like, try to stick it out.
Well, first of all, let me just start off with this: is when I saw this unfolding, my heart sunk. I mean,
Yeah.
it sunk, and I imagine everyone's did that was watching. And you just immediately go to the pity party for Pirate fans, and honestly for him. Now, the funny part about it is, if you want to call it that, assuming everything is what it is as we know it, is it was like thumb cramp. Then I heard forearm cramp. And I said earlier, I've been around baseball a long time. I've never heard of these types of ailments. So, I mean, does he just need to drink some water?
He literally said it himself in an interview after the game that he needs to hydrate more. He thought he was doing a good job, but he wasn't.
Well, you know what? Look, I don't know how much. Look, I'll give him some benefit of the doubt. I'll play devil's advocate. I'll say, hey, maybe they told him to come out. Maybe
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
And he's
I have a podcast, Jim. I have to have a little bit of hyperbole here, right? I mean, like, I'm just a little irritated because it was literally just today. We just had the extension. We were already getting creamed. I just,
he gave us a big scare, and it's not a great sign. After some of the other stuff, he had the little bit ankle tweak. We know what happened last year. That never seemed to work itself out completely. So you certainly don't want to get a reputation, earned or not, that you're a little bit fragile. And he's going to have to learn to know, my dad used to say something to me all the time: are you hurt or are you injured? And I hated that, growing up playing sports, but I remember that, and now it makes a lot of sense, and we'll see. So but
my dad used to always ask, why are you going to the doctor? They're just going to tell you something's wrong, right? But I mean,
Pittsburgh, spoken like true Pittsburgh dads, first of all.
I don't ever go now, even. So he definitely instilled it in me.
Yeah.
But that was just something that happened today that I guess I was a little irritated by. But another thing that really kind of struck me today was just, and I kind of knew it was coming, but just the negativity about it. I mean, like, the Pirates finally did something right here. You can't even argue that it's a bad deal. Again, I just said if he never hits, it's not a bad deal.
People even argued that.
Oh,
I,
I got bad deal. I got wrong one. You know that this means Reynolds will be traded. Like this, no, it really doesn't. We just discussed that on around the 412. So I mean,
mhm.
obviously that's the way people think. I took it as like it's no longer theoretical that they're going to do some of these things. They're going to start building the team now. That's what I took from it. I don't care if he's the right one.
Mhm.
I don't care if they don't sign another one until it's Reynolds and it happens at the beginning of next year. I'd rather it be now, but like it doesn't have to all happen at once. In fact, it would be weird if it did. In fact, look at the lineup that you complain about. How many of these guys do you want? You don't want a bunch of these guys. So don't go crazy thinking that they need to extend 5 or 6 of these guys now.
It's the first step, tangible step, I think, at the major league level that you can point to say, okay, so this is the first step. There should be more coming. Um, it's got to start somewhere.
Right.
I'm sorry it didn't happen with Bryan Reynolds first, but sometimes it just works out that way. And they've got one signed. Let's hope the other one's coming soon. But you're right. There was a lot of negativity, and I don't know
There's a
if
lot of positivity too. I shouldn't be like that. I guess I was just floored by the negativity. You know?
it was pretty loud. I mean,
Yeah.
um, you know, the Pirates are easy to bash, and they've earned a good bit of it. But they also did something really good today and very smart, and they've got one of them locked up. I don't know how anybody can see that, paint that as a negative, but
And then you could go too far with it though. Like, if you're watching the broadcast early on and Greg Brown started praising Bob Nutting for getting this deal done, and I'm like, no, dude, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. We're not going to start praising him for a deal that for most other teams would be a nothing burger. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that
yeah,
this is a humongous deal. This ain't Tatis. This was a
right.
this was eight. This is under 10 mil a year. I
These are
just
these are these are moves the Yankees make on a Tuesday that barely even get a write up in the paper about extending some kind of piece that they have that's not even a major one.
more likely it's the type of deal that the Yankees wait until he's Joe or Sherlock, that kind of player. You know, like he's the guy that like you wait until you're on like year 4 or 5 and you're like, okay, we're pretty sure he's decent. We'll go ahead and extend him because you can. And if he wants an extra 2 million, you're like, whatever. We can do
Mm-hmm.
that. So be it. And then you give it to him. Well, the Pirates can't afford that. So this is how they have to go about it. Like you've got to take a leap. You got to believe what you've seen is worth trusting. You got to do it, and you get it done. That's it. It's not going to be a whole lot of money for him. This doesn't mean they're going to approach Bryan Reynolds with the same contract offer. I literally saw that 5 times today on Twitter.
Oh well, that's just silly.
They're not even related. This isn't even close to the same thing.
Mm-mm.
They're not going to go to him and offer him anything close to what you just saw for Brian Hayes. It's just
Yep.
not even in the ballpark.
I, look, um, and like you said, to be fair, there were plenty of people that were excited. Um, I just think that fans get it in their head that things are going to happen a certain way, and when they don't, then it's not acceptable, and that it means there's something going on behind the scenes that they're up to something. I didn't read it that way this time. Now, do I want to keep the pressure on them and tell them that it's not good enough? Yeah, because I
Oh
think
yeah, You and
It's
I even snipped at you about that because like I
mhm.
think it was like maybe 5 or 6 minutes after this story broke, you tweeted out like, I'm glad this happened, but I want Reynolds too. And I'm like, can we just be happy for 5 freaking minutes, Jim? Like, like
Yep.
because that's how I felt at the time. I'm like, can we just like chill and enjoy it for a couple seconds? Like,
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, to be fair to myself, I did say, "Hey, kudos to the Pirates.
yeah,
it's
right.
a fantastic deal." But immediately with me at least, um, I worry that sometimes they think something that's good enough for now type mentality under Nutting. And yeah, do I want to keep pushing? I do, because I don't want it to get lost down the road. And look, I mean, is it going to matter that I tweet it? Probably not. Definitely not. But it's something that enters my mind right away. I think both are true. Great deal. Hey, let's not think about stopping.
I mean, don't think about stopping, but also don't blow past second base and get yourself out. I only want Reynolds right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even consider doing anything else right now.
No, and that's why to me it's such a it's such a clear path that they don't even have to make any tough decisions
Yeah, I
when it
mean,
comes to like, man, like imagine being the Penguins right now. And I know that that's a completely different scenario, but you got a lot of guys, you don't know who you're going to be able to keep. And you might have to make a really tough call on somebody. There is no tough call with the Pirates now. It's one guy and sit down and try to get something done.
I mean, he's definitely the most important guy anyway. But if Mitch Keller puts together a really good year, he enters the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But that's for this off season coming up. That's not for now. Bryan Reynolds is the one who's ready, and they need to make it happen. I agree with you that that's the next step. I
You
don't
just
see a lot of the history, though, of Bob Nutting deciding one extension was enough and let me just stop. That's
yeah.
not what happened last time. They went kind of nuts and signed a bunch of people.
And
So
when I say it, I don't even mean necessarily with extensions. I'm talking about just whatever they do process wise, seeing it through, whether that's extensions, whether that's been moves at the deadline, whether that's meant how much resources you put into it when the time
yeah,
was
right,
right. Those are what I'm talking about. Certainly extensions, they've done it before. You've been preaching that part of it
right.
um, for months
This is to me
because
just laying the foundation. That's what
mhm.
Brian Hayes is. That's what Bryan Reynolds is. They're what you're building this whole thing on, and that's great. Do that. I agree. They shouldn't stop, and they shouldn't let Bryan Reynolds get away, and they shouldn't let the fans continue to listen to rumors that he's going to go anywhere. They should take their best swing, and they should be honest with us if they swing and miss, and move on, and then find your next person that's going to be that guy. If it's O'Neill Cruz, make it O'Neill Cruz. I don't care. But you got to have that foundation in place. I want it to be Reynolds. This team should want it to be Reynolds. We'll see. But I think everybody's got a point about it not being enough. I get that. I
Mhm.
guess they don't give us an awful lot to get joyous about. So when they do give us something to be joyous about, I just think we're doing ourselves as a fan base a hell of a disservice to not give ourselves 10, 15 minutes of just, all right,
Yeah.
that's all. And I just saw immediately people going to pissing all over the deal like it was terrible. Then I saw, oh, we're cheating to Brian Hayes. We're actually stealing money from him. Who was that idiot that you saw that tweeted out that his agent should be disbarred?
Oh, that whack job from New York. Um, oh, come on, Jim. I was trying to do a little bit. Kate Feldman.
Yeah,
Um,
what an idiot.
she, well, yeah, I mean, look, she,
Do you know why
She
it's fair, Kate? It's fair because of what happened today in the first inning of the
uh,
game. That's why it's
yeah.
fair. That's also why that's the number.
Kate Feldman, New York Daily News reporter, senior TV writer. Um, she says she mostly tweets during baseball games. Well, I suggest she brushes up on that skill a little bit because you know what? And here's the other thing about it. When you make statements like that, to me, I thought it was really insulting to Brian Hayes, his family,
Yeah.
and his agent, and the people that has around him. And let's just make this very clear. Um, it's a baseball family. His dad's plenty versed on these things.
Exactly.
This was not somebody that fell off the turnip truck and you threw a few dimes at him and he said,
Yep.
"Thank you, I'll take it."
This isn't
So,
some uneducated kid
yes,
that you stole from somewhere and just strong armed him into a
yes.
deal, thinking
So,
he like this isn't
super,
Tabata.
right, super insulting. I thought that but what to me, what you were basically saying is they weren't intelligent or educated enough to know a bad deal when they saw it.
Right.
And that just could not be further from the truth. The market is the market. This is how it bared out. They are obviously happy with it. The Pirates were willing to get it done. And I hate interjecting this. Everyone has to act so virtuous when it comes to what somebody's worth. And I'll stand up for them if they're not going to do it for themselves. Well, you know what? This isn't that. And mind your business. Everybody's happy here with this. And just and by the way, you deal with New York teams. I don't want to hear it here.
This is a kid. I think a lot of us, we kind of get shaded by 2020. The second half of 2020 when he came up here and looked like Ted Williams. That's the Brian Hayes we have in our minds. That is not what he has been since. It doesn't mean that he can't get back to some semblance of that. That doesn't mean that he can't be better than he's been. It certainly doesn't mean he can't be healthy. It just means that 2020 has not happened again since. He's playing every day right next to a guy who was arguably higher touted than him, Kevin Newman, on his way up, and that everybody and their mother knows is probably on his last shot with the Pirates. And he's going to leave without a guaranteed contract. And maybe Cabrian sees that and just thinks like, yeah, I could bet on myself and I could make them wait and I could, but then I'm going to get traded at some point and I don't want to do that. It was one of my goals to be in the place that drafted me. He said that himself today. That was one of his goals, is he wanted to play most of his career in the place that drafted him. You can't, from your little perch in New York, critiquing TV shows, you moron, pompous woman. You can't over there decide for yourself what Cabrian should have done or what he was worth. What an idiot.
She's going to save him. She's going to
She
save
ain't
him,
going to save
Gary.
anything.
You know,
She ain't
that's
going to
the
save
attitude.
anything. The only thing she's going to save is scrape a little bit of white guilt off of herself and hopefully crawl back into whatever hole she lives in New York. Enough. That stuff, I got no time or patience for that crap. These guys negotiated in good faith a contract and signed it together. Nobody strong-armed that kid. He wasn't up against it. It was a good deal. That's all there is to it.
I,
Enough.
I agree, and I think she got plenty of blowback about it too. And I think that's what happens too when you dip your toe in waters that you don't fully understand or haven't bothered to pay attention to all that much. Good,
Exactly.
you deserve some blowback from it. And I don't think there's anything but hugs high fives and handshakes in that circle of Brian Hayes and his family today and tonight. And I think Jason Mackey put it really well, which was if your reaction to this is anything other than I'm really happy for them and him, and then you're an a-hole.
Well, then she proudly proclaimed she was, which I must heartily agree, honey. I must heartily agree, honey. You are an asshole. Please don't ever show up on my Twitter timeline again. That's all I have to say. I never knew who you were before. I never want to know who you are again.
Hey, it's just another indication of those blue check marks. They don't mean much at all anymore
No,
these
they
days.
don't. They don't. Until Elon changes Twitter up.
That's right.
So, hey, now that we're all fired up, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about this miserable sumbitch of a game, huh? Welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Now that I'm all done yelling about
our girl media, Kate,
real media in New York that acts like fake media, let's move on and talk about this game, which I can also say was kind of fake, huh? I mean, lost 9-0 to the Cardinals on opening day. Adam Wainwright was Adam Wainwright.
32 straight scoreless innings now against the Pirates. Incredible.
Let's focus on what we saw from the Pirates because, I think there were some notable events that took place in this game, and we're never going to be a game recap show. We never have been. There may be a point where we do some kind of like live post game type thing, but for right now, we kind of like to keep these shows evergreen. But it was opening day, so I feel like we should touch on a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, opening day on the field, then we had the extension. I mean, it was a hell of a day to be a Pirate fan in a lot of different ways. So we can't just gloss over all that, right?
Right. So we already talked about Brian Hayes and the injury. Well, that led to getting to see Diego Castillo, and that was nice. I mean, he didn't get a hit. He actually kind of looked overmatched a little bit, didn't he, against Wayno?
Young Buck got in there
a couple times, didn't he?
You know what? It was the first thing I thought about today whenever they didn't have him in the lineup. I thought, that's not necessarily a bad thing against a guy like Wainwright. He can carve a young guy up.
And that's exactly what he and Yachty did.
Carved him up.
If you watched it, and I'll tell you what, man, I don't got no love for the Cardinals. And it's not like I'm sitting here going, oh, them Cardinals, I really enjoy them. But, man, you got to respect Adam Wainwright. That dude, he doesn't throw anything above like 88. And he just eats you alive. And that kid, that was a perfect example that watching Diego Castillo's at bat, he was lost. He had no idea what he was doing. Can you imagine somebody in AAA nowadays intentionally throwing like 64-mile-an-hour curveballs?
That's the thing.
He'd never seen that shit before.
I was just going to say, they never see this. And poor Diego Castillo, the first guy he sees is a guy throwing between 68 and 88.
Yeah.
He's throwing any pitch at any time. He's changing speeds. He locates everything. It was just, So that part ended up like we thought it would today.
Right. And Bryan Reynolds, he looked good. He made contact. Nice hit that he had. Yoshi, I thought. Yoshi really looked like he hung in there really well against that. And the off-speed stuff, we've kind of had going into last year was something that he could hit. So I guess Wayno is probably a good matchup for him, actually, if you really think about it. And, he did pretty well against him. So
Yoshi's not going to get out-thought up there a lot. And what I saw today is what I mentioned the other day, which is I really don't care if he hits a ton of home runs. I think there's other ways for him to still be a decent hitter. And we saw it today. Got a couple hits.
Yep.
Nothing of the power variety. No complaints.
I liked the way he swung the bat today. I got to say that. I thought it was pretty solid. And Probably could have had another base hit in there too. He really crushed one to center that Harrison Bader came in on and stole.
Did
So
did what Bader does.
yeah. Um, let's see. Cole Tucker was kind of a wash, but I didn't necessarily think he took bad at bats or anything. He didn't look overmatched really. He put some decent swings on balls and everything. So I wasn't like upset with his night either. Hoy Park looked okay, to be honest, at the plate. I don't think Hoy Park can handle second base, man. I just don't. I didn't like the way he looked there. He didn't look comfortable,
Yeah.
and probably cost Brubaker. I don't want to get into the pitching quite yet, but it probably cost Brubaker a run. Early on. I don't know. I don't think like he felt comfortable to me there. What did you
Uh,
think?
yeah, I mean, he probably today just kind of, to me, it was a typical kind of Hoy Park start, which is kind of forgettable in a lot of ways, and maybe that's why he shouldn't be starting all that much. He's decent as far as his versatility goes.
Well, when your team has 6 hits and he has one of them, he
Yeah.
did all right.
And was it? Did they have an extra base hit, or were they all singles?
I think
I
they were
think
all
that
singles.
I think they were all singles. I could be wrong, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, they, few and far between there. I'm trying to think of who else in the lineup.
In the lineup, I don't think there was much of anything. Daniel Vogelbach was, I don't know, man. Like, I guess he sees a lot of pitches. There's something about his swing. I just feel like he's always out in front of it. He doesn't get the launch angle on balls to really utilize the power for home runs. If anything, he's going to hit doubles down the line, I think, and that might be the best we get out of him. And I don't know. I wasn't very pleased with what I saw from him today. What about you?
No, it's look. If you see the guy, you're not going to get super excited.
Right.
He someone said he kind of looked like he belonged at like wearing one of those service oil change outfits and working down at the local Pennzoil quick lube. But so and then we're having to see him bat lead off,
Which was silly.
DHing.
Silly.
To be honest, National League people, it's a weird look. So like, yeah, I wasn't super high on him. I think if he's not hitting home runs or getting a few walks, then he's really, really going to be struggling.
I totally agree. So let's get into the pitching a little bit because, you know, arguably that starting rotation is going to be a story all year that we need to focus on. And JT Brubaker got the start today. 4 runs, all earned, 3 walks, a couple strikeouts, 3 innings. Really racked up a hell of a big pitch count doing it. Kind of just looked all over the place. I didn't feel like he
Mixed
was pinpointing anything.
mixed bag.
Usually, a guy has like one pitch he can kind of hang his hat on. I saw a couple good sinkers that kind of sunk back in over the plate on the outside corner or the inside corner, but that was about it. He had a couple like firm strikeouts that were kind of big, or his line could have been a lot worse. Defense didn't really help him out.
No.
Mixed bag for Brubaker, but
Yeah, he yeah, it would have been nice to see him get through the first with, 15, 17 pitches. It probably should have happened that way.
yeah,
It didn't. And then he, from there, became even more unsettled as the game went on.
yeah.
Bit by another home run. You can't be giving up 3-run homers early in starts.
No, you
That's
can't.
going to be a hard hole to climb out of. So mixed bag. We'll see where it goes.
Well, let's be positive though, because Will Crow, I think we were right, man. I think putting him in the bullpen in a long relief role, man, it really accentuates his strengths. It lets him use his pitch repertoire, not be afraid to get a walk every once in a while, hunt strikeouts, try to avoid bats. And he fought through 2 innings. And if it was a start, you'd kind of be irritated that he walked two guys and struck out three and threw 48 pitches or whatever in 2 innings, right? But in relief, that's great. That's great. That's exactly what you want. And I'll be honest, in his first inning, he looked dominant.
Yeah, he was really sharp then.
Yeah, dominant. So
And
I'm
he's
happy
he's
with
not a
that.
yeah, I mean, that's the role we kind of envision for him. He certainly doesn't seem to care when he puts guys on. It doesn't change his it certainly doesn't change his rhythm, that's for sure.
That's true.
So, no, he looked good. I think we were right on that one. I also think we were right on Dwayne Underwood, unfortunately, Gary.
Yeah. Now at least it's come out. It wasn't an arm injury. It's a hammy.
Okay. I
So that's
I I,
better.
I looked for that right when we went before we went live here to record, and I hadn't seen that yet. I thought it was his hamstring, but then on
Yeah.
the telecast they were being a little bit more adamant that they thought it was his arm.
It was. It's being reported it was his hammy. So
Okay.
now, normally I would go, oh, hamstring. Okay, 10-day IL. We'll see him in a little bit. That was before Greg Allen wound up on the 60-day with the with a hamstring. So like, I
Yeah.
don't know, man. We'll see. Dwayne Underwood. I know a lot of you really hate him from last year, but you really just didn't appreciate the innings that guy ate, and um, without him, it's going to tighten some things up in the bullpen. I wouldn't be shocked even like Miguel Ujure is up here. I would not be shocked to see him used a lot more. So
I can definitely see that being kind of maybe a little bit of the role that he would fill in if it's any length of time for Underwood.
right,
The really interesting thing today is before Underwood got hurt, he actually was up on the radar gun at like 97 and 98. It was
well,
strange.
that's where he was before the Pirates used him last year. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
he definitely had a velocity drop as the year went on and fought through. So like earlier we were talking about Bryan needing to learn to fight through some things. Well, Dwayne Underwood fought through some things last year too. He definitely was nicked up, and he just kept going. So
and the last thing I'll say about this is they let him try to throw one more pitch after he was hurt, and that's the only other thing that made me think maybe it was just a hamstring. Is because
right,
I
if
thought
it
I
was arm,
don't.
they never would have let him do it.
Yeah, like very, very rarely, unless you've got. If Adam Wainwright wants to try that, you would let him.
Right.
No. So that gave me a little bit of a hint, and he just walked right off. So,
So then the Pirates are already down 6. They bring in Aaron Fletcher. Aaron Fletcher just gets pounded, gives up a big shot to Arenado. So what? I mean, I don't really even know how to. I don't even know how to react to it. Yeah, that could be just garbage innings. I'm trying to just throw strikes and get through. This last inning, or it could be this guy just really is that bad. He's missing his spots. Who knows? I don't even know. We know that the Cardinals kill lefties. That's why they purposefully moved Quintana out of this series.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not going to get too excited about that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Heath Hembry wasn't very impressive. 1 inning, 2 walks. He got through the inning unscathed, but that's got to tighten up a little bit. All in all, it's the first game. Never good to lose 9-0. Certainly not good on opening day. But you're going to get got sometimes, especially when you're facing Wainwright and you're in a Pittsburgh Pirates uniform. It's like waving red in front of a bull. The guy's just too good.
Yeah. And for me, look, they took their lumps. We're going to see that some this year. The thing that I was more concerned with and worried about was never a good thing to see two guys walk off the field in game one of a 162 game season.
Yeah.
Guys that you're going to be counting on one way or the other, leaving with injuries. That is the part that really concerned me. We can give predictions all day long for what we think. If you spend a ton of time with a ton of guys hurt, Well, those predictions will change real quick. It could get much, much uglier.
Well, hey, that's a wrap on opening day. What do you say we do? What do you say we do? Call your shot, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey guys, calling my shot. Baseball analytics, all about acronyms. OPS, OPS plus, WRC plus, XWOBA, XWOBAcon. The Pirates have turned to BMI. Two lefty mashers, high BMIs, Dan Vogelbach and Yoshi Tsutsugo. Vogelbach looking like a 20 to 30 home run guy in full season at bats. Yoshi, if he can replicate anything close to what he had as a Pirate, the same. They're not going to be able to hit lefties worth of crap. But, hey, let's go Bucs.
All right, Jim. That was our buddy Yark. What do you think, man? I mean, he's calling out a new stat, BMI. I get it, body mass index. Daniel Vogelbach and Yoshi Tsutsugo are big people. I'm not gonna jump all over him for what I know is already floating in your head. I'm gonna let you go first. What do you think?
Well, let me throw this out there. I see Vogelbach listed as anywhere between like 220 and 240 on the internet.
What?
And yeah, 240. I'm seeing a lot.
I heard Greg Brown say 272 today.
Yeah, so there ain't no way that guy is 230 or 240. So let's just get that out there right.
Before we get too far, look at Jim and I. Look at these nice round cheeks we both have. We've got room for improvement too. We're not making fun of overweight people. We are in the same boat. Let's just get that out of the way.
Definitely, but we're not professional athletes either. So, So as much as on the internet they talk about his weight, and I don't believe that, I also don't believe that Yark just said that he's going to get 25 to 30 home runs. God love Yark. He's infatuated with these home run numbers this year with the Pirates.
Dude, he wants to win that bet against James so bad.
Yes.
That he's just going to manufacture it.
He's going to say it till he believes it's true. But, and look, full disclosure, if any of these things happen with the home runs that Yark keeps preaching, we're never going to hear the end of it.
Never, ever.
So,
no.
So you know what? I know what they're trying to do. They need the home run numbers, and they're trying to get it from places that you'd obviously want to get it from, which would be like your DH spot, something obvious. I don't know, Garrett. I don't know that it's that simple and it's that easy.
Yeah, it's certainly not based on BMI, although I did get the joke. But
yes,
like Yoshi, I know it's not here where he has the track record, but he does have a track record of hitting some home runs, just not here. He had a nice little burst with the Pirates last year. I do think there's a little bit of potential for Yoshi to kind of like get into a groove and probably hit 20, 25 home runs this year. If he plays a whole lot, I think he'll do that.
He would
really,
be.
Nothing I saw today changes my mind about that. I think he gives you a good professional at bat, and I think he'll put some over the wall. I really do. Vogelbach, he's been in this league a while. He had 1 year where he really hit home runs. It was in Seattle. The ball was juiced very clearly. And Seattle is an easier place to hit home runs than PNC Park. And I know everybody sees that Clemente wall and they just think, oh, but you got to get some serious launch angle to do that. That is not the way Daniel Vogelbach swings. Really watch him swing.
Mm-hmm.
He turns his whole body, and it's a line drive. That's not going to lead to a lot of home runs in PNC Park. I'm sorry. It's not. It's going to lead to a lot of, maybe if we're lucky, line drives off the wall. But I don't think we're going to see a lot going over it. I really don't.
Which would be singles off the wall. Yeah. But, look, I'll take anything as a bonus from either of them in the home run department. do I still think this team's going to be woefully inept in the power numbers by the end of the year. I don't see it. If Cruz comes up, that will be a nice bump in that, because I think if Cruz does
Right.
anything, he'll at least be able to hit some home runs, even if he maybe struggles somewhere else. But yeah, York, God love him. He's going to stick with this to the end of the year, and we'll see what happens.
And honestly, if the call ups come up when he thinks they might, or what, because I know he thinks they're going to come up in like May, but if you start seeing some of that infusion of youth, where Diego Castillo decides he's just going to tear into it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's where your home numbers are going to come from, is development. They're not going to come from these older guys that they bring in and try. You're going to get a few from them. You're not going to get a lot. Yoshi's your best bet, and then Michael Chavis, as far as like raw power, like turning into something in the league. But I don't know. Vogelbach just doesn't swing enough. And when he does, it's not the right kind of swing, I don't think. So, BMI or not, I don't want to ever see Daniel Vogelbach leading off again. I don't
They
care. There's just
they
no justification for it. I can't see it. I don't like it.
they said they were going to toy with that. They certainly opened up the season that way. I thought it was interesting that Park got the start today at second rather than Chavis.
Yeah, I did
But I don't
too.
know Chavis's numbers. Maybe he's just god awful against Wainwright, and they just didn't like the matchup. But
Could be just wanting to get as many lefties as possible in
def-
against Wainwright, yeah.
definitely,
But I guess we do have to touch on a couple things, because we already kind of made fun of the catcher last time, but we got Jake Maranza too. And
yes.
we didn't really get a chance to talk about it on the show because obviously that was late breaking. I'm not overwhelmed by it. I don't think you are either. But I do think we both kind of understand why it was done now a little bit more after we heard about Greg Allen going on the 60-day.
They wanted something a little more sure, even if
I think that was probably well advised, don't you? I mean, I'm not saying it had to be him, but like, don't you think they had to get somebody, or do you think Blind Madras would have been better still?
no. I mean, once you get into that length of time, I mean, Vlad Madris, if he comes up and falls flat on his face,
Then you're
then where?
SOL, right?
Yeah, then where are you,
No, then you're
guy?
right back to fishing for Kai Toms and things like that. So
Right.
maybe they just wanted to avoid that.
Yeah, and Marisnik plays. I think he plays all three outfield spots.
Yes, he's
He's
an excellent
really,
defender.
really good defensive outfielder. And we've seen some adventures out there the last couple of years when they do try. Even Cole Tucker today had a little bit of
Actually,
trouble.
that was one thing I did want to bring up to you, though, that has caught me now twice. Cole Tucker's arm from the outfield is no joke.
No, he has a very good arm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but well, I didn't know
he
from
made it
the
a little
outfield.
bit. Yeah, he was a little late on throw or on break, and it made it a little bit more adventuresome on throw home. But then it was right on
Oh, it
target,
was a
and
strike. Yeah,
he had plenty of steam on it.
yeah, really well
So
done. So maybe there is a little potential there. Again, the bat has to come through.
mhm.
I mean, Cole Tucker is not going to survive in this league as a Jake Marisnik. He is going to have to hit.
No,
And
no,
so, I don't know, but I guess, like, I don't want to dwell on the signing much because it's certainly not impactful. Um, but I understand a little bit better why they did it. And I'm no longer like, oh, that should have been Bly, because I kind of get why you don't want to lean on a rookie to be out there as somebody you're really, really counting on right now. There's
yeah.
enough question marks on this team to not add to them.
Well, and it's just a reminder too. Is we sit here and we watch guys, they get hurt, and we try to guess. Didn't look too serious, or it did look serious, and then it turns out like Greg Allen. Yeah, it looked like he tweaked his hamstring, but you go in for your MRI, and eventually the grade on it was probably enough where they know he's not going to be ready for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be as simple as like, we think it's going to take you about 35 days to get better, and you know then there's going to be rehab and this and that. So it'll be close to 60. It could be one of those situations where he's completely ready. He's down in AAA, like playing on 45 days, like, and it just has to wait his time out to get back up here. But I was kind of excited to see him play, so a little disappointed that happened for him too, because this is a good opportunity for him. And,
well, yeah, you bring up, I mean, that was an injury that didn't happen in the opener, but it might as well have, in the sense of you're talking for a team that's not all that deep or, quite frankly, talented in a lot of areas. You start chipping away 2, 3, 4 guys here right away, and makes things a little dicey.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, good show. Really enjoyed talking with you about all these topics. And while the game wasn't good today, one game does not a season make. So we have a lot to talk about as we keep going here.
It was the perfect day if you ever wanted to know what it felt like to be a Pirate fan and you were not, today would have been the perfect day where you get every emotion possible in a 12-hour span.
I mean, if you think about it, we usually don't get that super high though. So yeah, I mean, it was actually a little bit bittersweet, but
we think we dodged a bullet though.
Yeah, certainly all in all, good news. So there's that. We should also promo Corey Geiger from DK Pittsburgh Sports. He covers Penn State for the site. He's doing a special podcast that comes out on Sunday. It's going to be called Sunday Sit Down, and he is interviewing Mike LaValliere this weekend. So
Spanky.
Yeah, so check that out, man. There is nothing like talking to a catcher. If you just want to have fun talking about baseball. And in fact, we ought to get the Fort back on here.
I agree.
But we had a really good time doing that, and I'm excited to listen to the show. So make sure you tune in on Sunday and listen to that. And
you want to learn about? No, I was just gonna say you want to learn about the game. Listen to catchers. I mean, you want to talk about people that know the game inside and out, and so I'm definitely gonna listen to that as well.
Yeah. So good stuff. And thanks for inviting us into your household twice this week. 3 times if you listen to 412 as well. We really had a good time launching the week with you, with the season going and everything. So until next week, thank you. Let's go Bucs. And here's a cool little kid that's going to say,
Let's go Bucs!